Hey everyone, Rabbit Hedgehog here, and we want to thank our sponsors before the start of this video. Shout out to Law Tigers out there riding with us right now, but standing with us in the event of an accident. Need custom racing leathers or gear for the everyday ride? AGV Sport USA is here for that, and based out of Argyle, Texas, and serving riders nationwide. Also, we want to thank Doug Crawford, an independent AMSOIL dealer, for providing us with the fluids that keep our machines running well on into the future. Visit the description below for web links and contact details to get in touch with them today. Hello and welcome to the Rabbit Hedgehog channel, and we were going to talk about this bike here. Of course, if you guys have been watching the channel, you do know what this bike is. This is my 2023 Indian Springfield Dark Horse. It's been a little over a year since I made a video on it. This is what she's looking like now. Almost the same. Some slight differences here and there, but overall, pretty much the same setup. Running the stock seat, and this time the double seat. I can't remember if I had the solo seat with the rack on it last time, but got the back rack and everything on it with the sissy bar, Mr. Garfield, of course, because why not? Gotta have a tail gunner. Keep us safe. But this is what I've added to this bike. Just the sissy bar there. I've got a heel shifter on board. Also have the highway bar, because that doesn't come with it, with the highway pegs and everything. Of course, the 13.1 inch windscreen here with the smoke. But the big difference here is going to be these handlebars. These handlebars are definitely not the stock ones that come with the Springfield. This is actually off of a Chieftain Dark Horse that I've put on here. And the big reason why is because I like the way the bars fall. I don't like the taller, thinner mini apes, if you want to call them that come on the Springfield Dark Horse. It makes you lean too far forward, and that's why I put the other seat on there, actually, is because I had to boost up a little bit, I guess is the best way to say it, because my arms are oddly short for my height. Again, I'm 6 foot tall, 32-inch inseam, but I have kind of a longer trunk section, but also very short arms, oddly enough. So when I get on this bike, I prefer the turning now, because now you can see if I stop turning my head, because I get that, I can go lock to lock, and I don't have overstretch or anything like that. With those other bars, it was a little bit more annoying. And that was one thing that I kind of wanted to avoid. All right, so we always run her in sport mode, I feel like. Just filled up on a tank of gas, so ignore that there. It finally caught on that I did. A little over 200 miles on that tank there. You can get that actually pretty regularly with the Springfield or any of the Thunderstrokes, really. When I had my Chieftain 5.5 gallon gas tank, generally made it over 200 miles almost every time, so always good for that. Usually averages somewhere around 40 something to the gallon, generally in mixed company with some highway and such. I end up doing probably around 44 to the gallon. But I think the big thing is 14,165 miles. And I've had this bike since May of 2024 is when I picked it up. So in just a little over a year, because I pulled it out of the crate, I did the first ride on it, and I've done essentially every single ride afterward. I've had this bike for every single mile that is on its odometer. So I have made it this 14,165 miles and have gotten really used to this motorcycle and the way that it has been. And I just want to discuss some of the things that I have experienced with it and what your ownership would look like as a Springfield Dark Horse owner if you would decide to choose one of these motorcycles. First off, I do want to say this is probably my favorite motorcycle that I've ever owned. I have had 37 motorcycles in total in my entire life, and this one truly is kind of the one all be all bike because I use it for just about everything. You can see the giant pack that I've added to the back of it, and you know, the saddlebags and everything. It holds quite a bit of stuff in this configuration. And it's even got a further configuration that if I take Mr. Garfield off, I actually can add the Day Tripper bag to that back rack and even have more stuff that this thing can carry. So, and of course you can add a pack on top of that one, and you can just keep stacking it. I mean, it's ridiculous how much this bike can technically hold. So I really like how much this bike can be configured for touring and long distance travel. It is one of the only couple of motorcycles I've ever owned. I've actually only owned 3 motorcycles that have left the state of Oklahoma. This one has left the state of Oklahoma along with both of my Moto Guzzi V7 and my V85. Both of them also left the state of Oklahoma as well. So very good long distance bikes on those, but this one takes the cake. This one rode it for probably a good solid 6 hours, you know, and then coming back for another 6 hours. Basically, you got 12 hours of riding in a day, and just stopping for fuel, essentially, one lunch break, one walk around a park for some photos, and back at it again. This bike has been a very, very good companion in terms of all that it has done and everything. Granted, there has been some weird things. Now this bike, whenever I got it, was still in the crate, but had been sitting in that crate for probably over a year. So when we first plugged it in, I think the battery had gave up the ghost, let's put it that way, but it wasn't completely showing it yet. So there was a little bit of an electrical error when I first got it, and that was in the switch cube over here. I believe actually it was the brake switch, not necessarily part of the cube, but for some reason there was a voltage error in it, and that was one of the first things that went wrong with it. And then around 4,000 or 5,000 miles or so, I'd continued to kind of sniff some oil here and there, and it was pretty clean overall. Every time you looked under it, there's nothing getting to the ground or anything, but I could definitely tell something was going on. And it turned out there was an input shaft seal that had failed on this bike, and that was replaced, of course, under warranty. All is well, and there's been no trouble ever since. The battery has been replaced because there was, like I said, some electrical gremlins that were very strange that were here and there, and they finally all went away with the new battery. And the shift shaft seal, those are the only 2 things that have gone wrong with this motorcycle in this 14,167 miles now. So to be real, I have had bikes that have had much more trouble in much quicker time than this one. You know, like my Moto Guzzi V85, I had to replace the fork leg on it. Still don't know what caused that, if it was a physical damage or a defect or what that was, but that had some problems with it. I had oil pump failures in a Harley, or a couple Harleys actually, a primary failure in a Harley, coolant leak in another. I mean, it's just one of these things where I've had some difficulties, and this one, yeah, it's had a difficulty, but it was taken care of quickly. This bike has only been maybe out of service for 1 day in its entire life. It's been available to me every other day, and to me that denotes minor failures, whereas the other ones, months was one of them, a couple of days, 3 days, 2 weeks. You know, if I go through all the ones that I've had problems with, definitely, yeah, different. Now part of it is, yeah, I do work at Indian of Oklahoma City nowadays, and having an Indian and all that, you got the shop right there, and you know, they're able to take care of it fairly quickly, so that's a good thing. but I still have to wait on the schedule just like everybody else and all that. Waiting for these handlebars, for instance, was about a 4-month wait, I think. Just trying to make sure that the customers were taken care of. We can get to our bikes when it's the slow season kind of deal. So, you know, give or take there, what happens. But in this configuration, and I'm telling you guys, if you already own a Springfield Dark Horse, or if you look at owning one, I recommend changing the handlebars out to this style. I know people like the apes and stuff like that. I totally get that. I'm not dogging on anybody that likes those. I just am not a fan. I would rather have full control over the motorcycle and still have bend in my arm left, so that I have the ability to pivot and do some things that you couldn't do if your arm's too extended out. I would rather ride comfortably and in control. That's how I feel about it. That's how I'll always feel about it. So the worst I might ever do is something that high. You know, it would never be too much higher than that. But these bars are now in such a natural falling position. My shoulder's a little bit bent, you know, or a little bit bent out to the elbow and then out. But other than that, the arms fall, and the way they're bent, I can kind of move and have motion and, you know, stretch out and do some things. So there's good to that, you know, having that little bit. I can use the big bag as a backrest on this bike the way it's setting up right now, and it actually is kind of comfortable. So I can lean back on that and still have a decent bend to my arm. You know, I can have both arms on there like so, but usually I like to do one arm, especially if you're going a long time and there's nobody around you. So it comes down to the comfort and what you think. And I know some people don't mind the regular bars on this, but like I said, they're more up and that way, and I was just not much of a fan. And I didn't like the narrow portion either. I like these being wide and much more leverage. It just feels so good. The way this bike turns, the way this bike handles is just a dream. It's just like floating on a cloud. And it has, for its size of it is, pretty decent steering. You know, I still touch down. If you look at my right side exhaust, for instance, you will see chewed up all the way down it because, yeah, I still drag pegs or floorboards or whatever you want to say. And in that case, actual heat shields. So I got pretty down and dirty into some turns. And this thing will go with you. And, you know, it's a little too willing to go with you for its size. Because when you ride bikes, big touring bikes, big baggers and stuff like that, you don't really expect them to go over and turn as good as these do. And the way that this thing is balanced and the way it runs is just peachy. I would not change this bike in any way, the configuration it's in now. The shocks have worn in really well. Of course, we're still running the shock suspension on this. The Fox mono shock in the rear still holds air, and holds air actually rather well. You can put in the air and actually kind of hold off on re-looking at it for a couple of months, and it's still actually at the pressure you left it. I just check mine every once and again to make sure it's still at my riding pressure, and it's usually okay. Maybe here and there I'll have to add 5 or 10 pounds once in a while, but it actually holds air very well. One thing about it is if you've never had cruise control on a motorcycle, of course I've had multiple bikes with cruise control. The first time I've had it was, of course, my Chieftain. But after that, man, once you have it, it is so hard to get rid of it because you just have to control it with your thumb and not think about it. Ride with both hands on the grips, looking around, no bends in your wrist, no nothing. You're just planted, good to go. Simple to operate. The mirrors are wonderful on this bike. Everything is visible on it. The seating position, I really enjoy it. It's good for long rides. There's no pressure points or hot spots or anything. I will say, of course, being in Oklahoma, and let's see what today's air temperature looks like. Scroll down to that real quick. 95 degrees is what I'm showing. That's probably give or take a degree or two. So pretty crispy. Been in crispier, been literally in probably 113, I think is the highest I've been at. And the big talk about is, of course, air cooled and how does that handle the heat and everything. And actually, it does okay unless you're sitting still. You don't really want to sit still too long. Of course, this does have cylinder deactivation. I do actually keep it on. My trick is, as soon as I see the lights start to turn green, I kind of preload the engine so that way it kicks it off, and that way I can release the clutch and go at a normal rate, because sometimes I'm too quick for the cylinder deactivation to come back on, you know, turn the cylinder back on, and you'll get a nice little polite stall, and I don't like doing that. But I do like the fact that it keeps me cooler, and it, trust me, as long as I have ridden this bike, as much as I have ridden this bike, as often as I'm on this bike these days, almost every dadgum day, you know, it is one of those things where you do know, yeah, if you had cylinder deactivation off, it gets quite crispy sitting at a light. You have it on and it turns that cylinder off, it does actually hold back some of that heat for a little bit longer, so you can make it through that light cycle and stuff like that. But in motion, I've got the wind behind me today from the south at a pretty good clip. And with that wind being behind me, that cylinder head, of course, is right there, so it's getting some wind coming through it. It doesn't really get on your legs or anything. It doesn't go through your thighs. Might be just a little bit here and there, but it's not hot. I mean, to this day, the night rod that I had is by far the hottest motorcycle I ever had. And that one, it was liquid cooled, and it did not matter if you're in traffic, moving, whatever. It was hot. It was miserable, and it was just not a good ride, not a good day if you're on there for a long time. But this one, despite the fact it's air cooled with a large, you know, 116 or 1890cc engine, the heat is not incredibly unbearable or bad or anything of that nature. It is doable. And I promise you, once you ride a night rod, if you've ever ridden one, you're prepared for any heat that comes off any other bike in the future. It doesn't matter what it is. You're ready. But yeah, I mean, the great thing is working with Indian, knowing how they work in the background, and I've worked for Harley before and I know how they work in the background. It is a completely night and day difference in the attitude and the just the whole thing about it, you know, the warranty work and everything. You can modify your bikes with Indian and they're not going to get rid of your warranty just because you put something on, like my handlebars or my heated grips, because that's another add-on I did on this bike. They're not going to void your warranty for things of that nature. If I put exhaust on it or if I did anything like that, it's a common sense warranty. And just the environment that Indian provides for its owners and for its dealers and everything. And I'm trying not to be biased by any means, but seeing how it works and how it worked on both sides, it is much better on this side. And like I said, my bike has been fixed under warranty with no issues, and no qualms, and everything that's gone wrong has been taken care of. And every bike that I've had with Indian, that's been the way. Whereas there was some pulling teeth on a Harley, and there was a couple of things on a Honda, you know, that took some finagling and fighting and some other stuff. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. Sometimes that is dealer too. Sometimes you got good dealerships that know how to do what they're doing. Sometimes that they're doing the bare minimum that they can do, and that's why it's a problem. So, you know, that's why I don't give it all to things. But the Harley side, I will be a little bit more critical of, because I did see how they would get rid of warranties that definitely should have been honored that weren't. You know, flags that were supposedly too big, and that's why the clutch isn't covered for a 700-mile bike, or some other things that I have witnessed that just absolutely was horse crap. and should have never been done that way. So again, yes, I do work for the dealer, but the way we treat our employees is the way we treat everybody. So I've been a customer, you know, long before I worked for Indian of Oklahoma City, and they treated me the same way then as they do now. So that's the whole thing, you know. If you got a good dealer behind you and a good bike under you, man, it makes for the greatest experience that you ever have. And that's how I'm gonna put that into perspective as to why this bike is just so much better. Because, like, in terms of my favorite bike of all time that I've owned, are there better bikes? Absolutely. I'm gonna say that there's way better bikes out there. The Challenger is way better, probably. Okay, it is. I mean, I've ridden a plenty of Challengers, and I take one, you know, almost every day downtown just for the fun of it, just because I kind of want one, you know. But I really like the Thunderstroke. I really like the way this one rides. I don't want to ever really give this one up. It's just such a good motorcycle. It has everything I could ever imagine. I put $90 worth of groceries around the bags and everything and go grocery shopping with the thing. Like I said, I've taken it for camera gear, shopping, and camera buying and everything, you know, and also photo trips and so many different things this bike has been through. It's like my little SUV. I'm even contemplating putting my mountain bike on it, you know, because it's just such a good bike, and it is a bummer to not be able to ride it. I look forward every day to getting on this motorcycle. I have not had a bike that I have looked so forward to get on and enjoy that I have this one. And that's not just because of the experience or any of the dealer or working for the dealer or anything like that. It literally is that good to me. It's set up the way I want it. It's exactly everything I love about motorcycling. It's bare bones and basic and not overly stuffed with technology. I don't need GPS. If I'm gonna go somewhere, like went down to Wichita Falls one time, and I didn't even need my maps or nothing. I just looked at a map for a little bit, memorized it, went down there, did my thing, came back. Then I went other places, you know, just ride around. And sometimes you just decide to take a different route. Sometimes you see another road that looks more interesting. And it's so much cooler to experience that in a more analog sense, because if you had the map, you know, you had the GPS in front of you the whole time, then you know what that road's gonna do. You know what that road's gonna take you to. So it takes away some of the exploration and some of the curiosity. But this bike here has been a great companion in the exploration, you know, and everything that it's done. A literal Swiss Army knife. Except for, you know, full off-roads or anything like that, but I've rode gravel roads with it before. I've, you know, just enjoyed ownership. And like I said, it's only a year and 2 months old now. Not even quite the 2 months yet, because it was the end of May when I got it. So if you're looking for a motorcycle to be a great companion, and you don't need all the equipment or the fairings or all of that, these bikes do not come with the windshield. You know, you do have to add that, but it's not incredibly expensive to add one of those on there. And there's multiple different types that you can get, and you can kind of customize it to yourself and how much wind protection you're looking for, a little wind protection or none at all. If you're looking for a bike that is an amazing touring bike, one that you can take with you for days and days at a time and load up, and it's just so happy to do it. This bike literally is happier when I go on 3, 4, 5 hour rides a day and come home. It doesn't like being a commuter. Sometimes, you know. It does fine. It just, I know it just wants to keep going. I want to keep going. But if you're using it as a commuter, it works really well. It gets in and out of town just fine. You're really easy to 1 foot and stand at traffic and control and everything. It's not incredibly heavy. It's under 800 pounds at 790 is where it ends up at. So, you know, it's just very easy to handle. You get so good at the throttling. You know, I've always kept it on sport mode. I don't think it's ever been out of sport mode. Doesn't matter if I've ridden in the midst of the most rainiest of rains or coldest of colds or whatever. This thing's in sport mode because it's so easy to modulate the throttle. Very good on the fueling, very easy to know what you're doing. Transmission and everything is still spot on. In fact, I think it's gotten butterier as time has gone on, as it's worn in a little bit better. It's a very good built machine, and I mean, it's held up very well for 14,000 and some change miles. I've seen bikes that, of course, they're sitting around and getting crispy as well. You don't want a bike to sit around, guys. If you got one, ride that thing, man. Take time to ride. Machines are designed to be ridden and designed to be loved, and if you don't, then you got the wrong bike. Go find one that you just gotta get out on and go explore. One that makes you happy to explore. That's the best advice I can get, and I'm telling you, the Springfield is that bike, especially for me, but there's many others. Everybody that I have convinced to get onto a Springfield, they say the same thing. They really do. They're like, you know, I'm so glad I got that bike because, man, I just can't wait to get back on it. I know a guy that has 4 Harleys plus the Springfield because that was his first Indian. And he's about to sell the Harleys. He's done with them because he just can't get this one off his mind. He's just like, man, that Springfield, every time I go out there, I look at my other bikes and say, I just can't. I look forward to this thing. And it doesn't matter if it's the long fender or if it's the dark horse or anything like that. These are just such good riding motorcycles that I highly recommend the Springfield to anybody looking for a touring bike that just doesn't care about all the extra goodies and fairings and boom audio or power band or all that good stuff. You know, look for the bike that fits you the best and ride it, man. And I'm telling you guys, if you're looking for something, check out the Springfield. Very, very underrated bike because it just doesn't have all the technology. People overlook it because they always want the ritziest and blinkiest and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, you are overlooking an absolute gem of a motorcycle if you overlook this thing. So take it for a test ride. Stop by. We got, you know, folks that we allow test rides and stuff like that. Yeah, stop by, you know, Indian of Oklahoma City and take a Springfield out for a test ride. Right now we're sold out, actually. We got one coming in soon, so hopefully we'll have that in pretty quick. But yeah, we sold out of these guys because we believe in it. My owners had one. I've had one now for a while, and then it's just fantastic motorcycle to ride. And I can't say anything else but praise about this bike because it has just been wonderful to ride and just probably the best decision I have made in a very, very long time. So at any rate, this is the Rabbit Hedgehog, and I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsors, AGVSportUSA, for providing us with the safety gear. I'm wearing my 140 flannel today. I will say that, yeah, I don't have the gloves on, but you know, I accidentally broke them, but they're 3 or 4 years old and hundreds of thousands of miles on them by now. Also, I'd like to thank Law Tigers of Oklahoma out there right now, partnering with multiple biker groups and community of riders and everything. They're very good at taking care of us in sponsorships and also rides and doing things. They're fantastic. But when it's time to take on the insurance company, you're not alone. Call Law Tigers of Oklahoma. And also want to thank Doug Crawford and USA Synthetics for the AMSOIL products that keeps our motorcycles clean on the inside and running well. So at any rate, keep that shiny side up, folks, and we'll catch you on the next ride.